Hi, I'm Vikram and welcome back to a roll of film. In today's video, I'm going to take a look at the Rolleicord Vb Type 2. Now, the Rolleicords were manufactured from 1933 to 1976 and they are the entry-level cameras, the entry-level model for the Rolleiflex. Now, when I say entry-level, I mean entry-level from a price point of view, not from an operating point of view. There is no way that we can call the Rolleicord a beginner's camera. It would be better to call it for advanced beginners. But as far as the Rolleiflex line was considered, the Rolleicord was the entry level in terms of price. Now, the entire Rolleiflex range can be divided broadly into three, and that is the first, what we call the Rolleiflex, the Pro version, which was used by professionals, had the 2.8 lens, and then you had the rest of the Rolleiflexes, which had basically a 3.5 lens, and then you had the entry level Rolleicord, which also had a 3.5 lens. So the main basic difference between these three ranges of Rolleiflexes was in the lens. Number one, the lens, and number two, the functionalities, the various bells and whistles of the camera. The Rolleicord, the entry level camera, was the most basic, stripped down version of the line, and it had just the basic functions, but good enough, or even in fact more than what is required for you to take a photograph. So let's have a look at this. So as I said, Rolleicords from 33 to 76, actually January 77 I think was the last model, and this is the Vb Type 2, which was manufactured from 1966 till January 77, and this was the last of the line. There were no more Rolleicords manufactured after this. So you have, like as I said, it's like all Rolleiflexes, it's a TLR, that means a twin lens reflex, which means basically that it has two lenses. One is the taking lens and the other is the viewing lens. So you basically have this waist level viewfinder, which you open like that, and then you look down through this viewfinder and you see through the top lens, which is called the viewing lens. And then you have, of course, the taking lens, which is at the bottom, which is actually your main primary lens. Now in this Rolleicord, we have the Zenar 75mm 3.5 lens. Like I said before, it is the lenses that made the difference between the various models. So now this is the 3.5 Zenar lens, and it's available on most Rolleicords and Rolleiflexes. It's only the top line Rolleiflex that has the 2.8. The rest of them generally had a 3.5 lens. Could be the Zenar, could be the Planar. There are various lenses, and each lens has a cult following of its own. So you cannot really say which one is better. They have each of them have fan following of their own. So we have the two lenses, as I said, taking and the viewing lens. The viewing lens on this is really difficult to pronounce these things. Hedomart. It's a 3.2 lens, same 75mm. So it's slightly brighter lens, but it's a much cheaper quality. So just for you to view through, for you to compose your image. So now let's look at the front of the camera. So let us, starting from the bottom, here you have your shutter release. This is slightly different from the other Rolleiflex cameras. Here, this is the shutter. You have to cock it by pushing it to the right, and then with your left hand, just pull to the left. Let me do that again. Cock the shutter, pull to the left. There you go. Next to it here, you have the groove for the cable release. So you can release the shutter if you have a cable release. On the right hand side, you have here for your PC, what they call the PC socket, where you can attach your flash, external flash. And this little knob here is to prevent the you from cocking the shutter. On the top here, you have the self timer. So you just bring it down here. Let me just show it to you. Okay, bring it. And sometimes these things don't work on these old models. No, it is working. So you bring it down. Okay, it's a self timer. So basically, you can, how a self timer works. On the left hand side, you have another very interesting knob. So this goes up and down. So when you pull it down, you expose a red dot. So with this red dot, what the red dot means is that you can now take 2 exposures on the same frame. So this is for the double exposure control. You put it up here, you cannot see the red dot. It means prevents you from taking a double exposure. So these are the basic functions on the front, except for now we come to the adjusting of the shutter speed and the aperture. So the aperture start from B all the way up to 22 and start from 22 to 3.5 and the shutter speeds are from B to 1:500th of a second. Now here we have a difference between this and the Rolleiflex. Rolleiflex usually have 2 knobs here where you can control both the aperture and the shutter speed independently of each other. But for some reason, the Rolleicord has gone with these levers. Now if you notice, when I move this lever, both levers move simultaneously, right? So basically what it does is that once I set an aperture and a shutter speed, they remain together. But I can change the exposure gets locked, and I can increase my shutter speed, decrease my shutter speed, increase my aperture, decrease my aperture, but the exposure value will remain the same. But at times you would like to shoot independently without doing this. So for that, you first use the left lever and set your shutter speed here. And then you press this lever down and you can change the aperture independently of the shutter speed. That means if I press down, I'm changing the aperture without affecting my shutter speed. If I do not put it down, then you can see that both are moving. So my aperture is changing and the shutter speed is being compensated to maintain the same exposure value. So it's quite an interesting and useful tool at times, but personally I prefer to first set my shutter speed, then I choose my aperture as per the Sunny 16 rules. Remember, there's no metering here. Once I have that, if I feel that I need a faster shutter speed, I just have to move this lever up and down. I have the same exposure setting, but I have a faster or a slower shutter speed as I want. And same with the aperture. Yeah. So, but basically shutter speed, you're controlling the shutter speed here, but maintaining the same exposure value. I hope that makes some sense to you. Then of course you have this waist level finder, and if I press this down, you see on top a magnifying glass appears. This is for you to get a critical focus. If I press it further down, I have a small hole here, and then I can use it as a normal viewfinder. So the square is what you get to see, is what your frame actually turns out to be. And you shut it down like this. On this side, you have your film winding knob. This is another difference between the Rolleicord and the Rolleiflexes. The Rolleiflexes have your crank, while this has the knob. Really not much of a difference with using the knob or the crank, but this is just basically the knob. And here you have your counter, film counter, so you know which frame, the frame counter, so you know exactly which frame you're on. On the left hand side, you have the focusing ring, the knob for you to attain focus. It also moves very smoothly. and in the middle of the knob here you have this thing for you can record the ISO of your film. Remember, there's no meter here, so this is just so that you know what film you're shooting. So you load up, let's say, a 100 ISO film, and you can twist this till it reaches 100, so that you know. If you take a couple of shots, leave the camera behind, pick it up again after a week or so, you know exactly what film you have loaded here. Now this is a medium format 6x6 camera, so you get a 6x6 negative, and you get 12 negatives to a 120 roll. So as you can see, it has more or less everything that a Rolleiflex has, including the lens. The ZR 3.5 is an excellent lens. There's nothing. It may not be the 2.8, but it is by no means an inferior lens. It's just that the functionalities have been stripped down, and also it's not all that. There's certain small embellishments which you find on a Rolleiflex which are not here, which is really, it just adds to the look and feel of the camera, but it doesn't really do anything as far as functionality is concerned. So your Rolleicord is an excellent camera. It's an excellent camera. You'll get the results are as good almost as any other camera. Just that it's been stripped down as far as functionality is concerned. Now, if you're not that into the various things that the Rolleiflex has, and this suits your shooting style, there's absolutely no reason why you shouldn't go in for a Rolleicord. In fact, I think as far as for a first medium format or for your first TTL camera is concerned, I think this is an excellent choice. Take some time getting used to TTL. This waist level viewfinder is a little different, a little difficult to work with, but just a matter of practice. Once you cut your teeth on the Rolleicord, you can, if you feel, you can go in for the more expensive models. So I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it. And if you did, please don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. And please also share the same if you like. Thank you, and see you soon.